Hello, everybody, and welcome to our session with our great guest, Ms. Mirza. We are going to be talking about one of the most attractive and recent trendy topics recently we have been facing over the social media and over our field, which is AI. Specifically, we are going to talk about product leadership in AI for doing a career. Right now, we are having our special guest, Mirza, over our great event, Be More Festival, via ADB List, and I'm Hazim Kiyechmari, the host, via ADB List, the global host for this session. We are going to start, we are going to dig deeper and deeper in each single thing over this topic, and we are going to go above and beyond after this session with the recommendations of Mirza and his knowledge and expertise. So we are totally excited to have you over here, Mirza, and welcome everybody. We are going to lunch. Go, go, go.
All right. Thank you so much, Hazem, and thank you, ADP List, for inviting me to speak. I'm going to just share my screen here so that we can follow the topic together. Okay, good. I think now it's shared. So let me just jump right into it. My topic for the day is talking about product leadership in AI with the somewhat jokey title of "Fine Tuning a Career," which is basically an industry term. So before I start, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Mirza. I'm a product leader and mentor working in the AI and automation space. I'm currently a group product manager building autonomous AI agents at Zendesk, where I lead a team of product managers who are, developing various areas such as email automation, messaging automation, building the underlying machine learning and AI technology that supports autonomous AI agents. In addition to this, in my free time, I write a newsletter for PMs who are looking to become product leaders at youaretheproduct.io. And if you want to learn more about me and the things that I do, you can navigate to my website at mirza.tech. All right, but no time to waste. So let's jump right into it. And I want to start with a little bit of background and context. AI has obviously kind of taken over the world of products. And I'm sure for those of you who are designers or engineers or work in any function that's adjacent to product management or work with product development, this is very clear for you. The hype is real. Businesses have started scrambling ever since let's say ChatGPT came onto the stage. And a lot of this hype has caused amazing innovation, but it's also caused a lot of unnecessary application of AI. For a product leader, what that meant was that a lot of people had to invest in their own learning journey. AI is an area that develops incredibly fast. So a lot of us had to also scramble to learn and start learning on the double. Uh, an additional challenge for product leaders in this space was that there's not a lot of folks out there with the requisite knowledge and skill in the field. AI is a specialized, is a specialization, and up until today, perhaps now there is a proliferation of people that are educating themselves or becoming educated through various training programs. But overall, there's a lot of talent scarcity still today. But nonetheless, a lot of product folks have started to actively move into the field. Again, try to educate themselves or become educated in the field and start working with or within AI. Now, the numbers for this also justify what I'm showing you here is a very conservative estimate of the annual revenue growth of the software market in AI from 2018 up until next year, where the projection is 126 billion American dollars. Some of the other projections, say that the compound annual growth rate for AI within software is at 36%, which is really significant. And estimates up until 2030 go up to $500 billion in revenue generated just within AI. The global workforce is also shifting into AI, and as many as 15 to 20% of the current software workforce will be somehow focused on AI. This number will, of course, only continue to grow. Now, AI is not new. It's been around for some time. In 1947, the first mention of the concept of artificial intelligence happened in 1947 when Alan Turing gave a lecture introducing the very concept. The first chatbot was actually built and released in 1966. It was MIT's Eliza. Um, Jumping ahead into 1997, Deep Blue, beat Gary Kasparov, a grandmaster in chess, which showed the power of technology as such, but also AI and neural networks. And then in 2011, IBM's Watson beat players on Jeopardy. Jumping all the way to 2017, where Google launched the first transformer model, which is the basis for the GPT part of ChatGPT, or generative pre-trained transformers. So this shows you that the history of AI is long and extended. What's changed since 1947, into 2024 is that we have a lot more computational power and we're able to do things that we could only theorize about back then. The timeline in the last few years has compressed even more with the introduction of large language models and the ability for us to make the necessary computations. How we came to ChatGPT only happened in a short number of years, where OpenAI launched GPT-1 with 117 million parameters, all the way into GPT-3 just a couple of years later with 175 billion parameters. To launch a consumer-facing application that leveraged its underlying large language model. This is just an example of ChatGPT. There are many, many more large language models that were launched by Google and Meta and a selection of other companies that are competing in this very, very active space today. And over that time, we've also expanded the applications of large language models. You see them today used in machine translation with much improved translation accuracy. Google Translate is one of the earliest examples of this, but folks are using ChatGPT to help them out with translations more and more as well. You've seen things like text summarization, where a large language model and an application on top can help you summarize long documents. Used a lot in news, for example. Sentiment analysis, really important in customer service, where you're classifying customer feedback, detecting spam, you're detecting any change in the customer's mood or feelings regarding a specific area or a specific inquiry that they're making to a business. And text completion, where we have a bunch of smart compose features like the autocomplete in Gmail, code completion tools that are helping software developers write faster, better code sometimes. So these are just some of the basic sort of text-based applications. It extends obviously into a lot of other areas with different types of neural networks, with different types of models, such as voice, video, image recognition, et cetera, et cetera. Now, one of the obviously most popular examples of the application of large language models has been chatbots and virtual assistants. Siri, Google Assistant, Alexa, and ChatGPT, all the rage, obviously, today for all of us. Now, with this context and background, what is unique about product leadership in AI and shipping AI-powered products? How is being a product leader different in the AI space? Now, the same basic principles that product leaders have always followed still apply. Coaching your team, going into the details, applying continuous discovery, continuous delivery, and continuous integration methods. It also means building products that solve customer needs in a way that sustains the business, being customer-centric, but also being business-minded about it. What is different is now that these principles are expanded with more rigor in a number of select areas. There's more in-depth focus on data and data management, on ethics and responsible AI, and a variety of privacy concerns, regulatory compliance, and security. But the most important thing that AI product leaders must do is envision how AI can create new value propositions. It's not enough to just plug AI into your software. You need to figure out how the two work together, and how do AI powered features create new opportunities to solve customer needs in a way that sustains and helps your business develop. Now, one of the big tasks for all of us, for you as a product leader or as an aspiring product leader, is to continue your learning journey. The technology, as mentioned, is evolving at an unrelenting pace. The timeline I showed you earlier keeps getting compressed from years to months to weeks to even days. Um, Predictability, long-term planning, road mapping have become quite a bit more complicated as AI development cycles and lead time is much different from traditional software development. Mitigating risk also becomes a little bit trickier. LLMs can be a black box. I'll talk about this in a moment. And you need to continuously be learning and become as technical as you can be. Um, but you have to accept that in some way you're always going to be behind, even if you're a data scientist, switches into product management and becomes a product leader. I think especially if you're a data scientist, how quickly this field evolves. So it's a constant learning journey. Another thing that I think is very important for those of us working in the AI space is that it's necessary to find the humility required to develop partnerships with strong technical counterparts. You will, like I said, always have to be learning, and you will need to rely on folks that are on the cutting edge of what's happening in the field, because as much as AI product management and development is, traditional product development, it's also a combination of science and research. So there's a lot of additional stakeholders that you need to be working with, whose input you will need regularly. Now, a bunch of other areas are also impacted in your day-to-day work. Securing access to high quality data becomes one of your primary concerns. This is a concern not just for a product leader, but for a product manager, the engineers, everyone working in an environment that's building AI powered products. Data becomes a critical core asset, and you as a product leader will have to work hard to identify a variety of different data sources, contribute or even develop data acquisition strategies, make sure that data is recent and high quality. That sometimes might mean reaching out into the world and building partnerships, or even doing really exciting stuff like building synthetic data sets so that you can regularly test your models and you can optimize performance. The other area is, I mentioned, LLMs can be a black box. The models, quote unquote, reason in ways that are sometimes, quite frankly, impossible to explain. Users, on the other hand, require some form of explainability or interpretability so that they can develop the trust necessary to be comfortable with using AI features. Now, everyone is part of the hype. Everyone is part of the we all love chat gpt, we're all playing around with the technology, but we've seen it hallucinate, we've seen it spew out nonsense. So we're still on the journey to well, first of all, figure out how to handle this, but secondly, to build the trust necessary in our users, with our customers, so they will be using this technology and using the features that we're building that are powered by this technology. And then lastly, ethical concerns become, take a front seat. The underlying models can have implicit bias that we introduce to it, often very unconsciously. One of the mitigating strategies for this is to diversify your teams to build inclusive environments of people that will then build inclusive technology. We as product leaders, as PMs, as designers, we need to be talking about how to ensure that the products we're building are ethical and consider the bias that we're introducing to it. Now, a couple of other areas are also impacted, and perhaps they're a little new for some of us. AI governance and regulatory compliance. I think there are highly regulated products out there that people have worked in that have more data governance and regulatory, more let's say, rigid and restrictive regulatory compliance. With AI, this is about handling data responsibly, navigating data privacy laws. If you're in Europe, you know about GDPR. Establishing data governance policies, and ultimately ensuring that how you're using customer data, it complies with legal and ethical standards. The other thing is scalability. It's one thing to build a model with for whatever X amount of users, let's say a few hundred, maybe 1,000. But scaling that in a global context to a global user base presents significant technical and platform challenges. The other issue to concern yourself with can be is data drift, where models experience performance degradation as the data essentially becomes stale. So what you need to be doing is investing in regular optimization. Performance and scalability, although they are the domain of platform teams and infrastructure teams, become something that as a product leader, you have to think about a lot when working with AI. And then lastly, you have to educate the market. You have to evangelize. You have to become an educator, helping customers and stakeholders to understand the value prop of AI features, and also to evangelize product leadership in AI, like we're doing here today, so that you attract more people to try to join the industry and learn how to become product leaders in AI. And I have to give a special shout out to a number of financial implications and monetization. Now, AI is a big part of AI is research. So investing in R&D and research and development means you have to also stay on top of AI feature costs. You're making API calls to providers like OpenAI or Anthropic, or somebody who's vendors that are giving you access to large language models. These add up. The more AI powered features you have, the higher the cost of this AI innovation becomes. You as a product leader are responsible to ensure that this cost is balanced against the benefit you're creating, so that you have a positive return on your investment. The other area to consider is how you're charging for it. Traditional pricing strategies and monetization models may no longer be the best way forward, may no longer make sense in an AI powered feature world. So you have to be open to new pricing models, such as building a subscription service, or maybe testing usage-based pricing or value-based pricing. Ultimately, your pricing has to align with the unique value proposition that your AI product or your AI powered product has. Now, I want to jump into something a little bit different. A big part of being a product leader in AI is training AI PMs. So I want to talk a little bit about what is different about an AI PM compared to every other product manager out there in terms of their key competencies. First, AI and machine learning, a basic understanding of algorithms, model training, data analysis, etc., and a mindset of building feedback loops into the product to help you with optimization, with performance analysis. This becomes very important, even more important than in other areas of product development. Data management, I already mentioned it. Both for a product leader and anyone working with AI, we're constantly looking for ways to source and acquire data, to clean data, to establish governance policies in collaboration with our data teams, to help us appropriately leverage what we're getting in terms of information. Again, you'll hear me repeating this throughout this presentation. The ethical side of things, the legal side of things is just so much more important. Ensuring ethical AI practices such as bias mitigation, fairness, responsible AI, etc., should be top of mind for anybody working in this field. And then lastly, system architecture, AI system architecture. An AI PM must develop an understanding of how AI components integrate within larger systems and how it all works together. Now, On top of this is what kind of what comes on top. But AI PMs do everything else that other PMs do. There's continuous discovery, in order to de-risk product development by experimenting and testing prototypes with users that are based, that are pitching solutions based on our users' needs, pains, desires. Experimentation becomes even more important in this world because you constantly have to be refining and testing model performance and how AI powered features operate. The other area, of course, is translating technical concepts to non-technical stakeholders. Investing a lot of time and effort into building consensus and guiding a group of cross-functional interdisciplinary folks that work in a consolidated team. Every product manager is in some way also a leader, even if they're not a people manager. And I think it's always important to differentiate between management and leadership in this sense. You're guiding, you're leading, but you're also there to engender and create collaboration. And then lastly, you have to design for AI. Now, whether you're building AI products or whether you're a product manager that works within an ecosystem where there are AI products, you need to be thinking about how to develop product experiences that make these new AI interactions intuitive for both your new and your existing users. And in doing so, you should be prioritizing their needs and their feedback. I mentioned at the top of the presentation that a lot of PMs and a lot of leaders out there responding to the hype and to the need perhaps of their environments to build AI started building a lot of unnecessary AI powered products. The truth is you don't always need AI to solve a customer problem. So you should be designing both to solve your customer needs. And if you do realize AI is the right way forward, then you should be designing for AI in a specific, interaction way that accommodates for the new reality. What are the differences, though? There are some key differences. As a PM in AI, you have many more stakeholders. Now, on top of engineering, customer success, product design, marketing, product marketing, sales, customers themselves, etc. All of your usual suspects. AI product managers also work with data science and AI research teams, machine learning engineers, sometimes data sourcing units, sometimes annotation teams, data analysts, and a host of others depending on your context and your environment. This means that time to market can be longer for two reasons. One, there's many more stakeholders to coordinate, which means it takes double, triple the amount of time it normally takes to align everyone and put things in motion. But also, AI research operates at a different pace, and it can be rushed. It's scientific research. Sometimes it's a little meandering. Sometimes it requires extra time to get to its destination. So in effect, lead time to shipping a product and getting it out to market are both just generally longer. The other thing is that there's a lot more ambiguity. It won't always be clear whether AI is the right solution for a given problem. I told you, I've mentioned how people opt for AI solutions. Often, where people think AI should be used, they could be using a simple rule-based system. Perhaps they have one of three, one of five choices. It's not always necessary to let AI decide which of those choices is the right choice, when just a simple rule logic would do. And again, I've mentioned it before. I'll probably mention it again before we're finished with this session. Building feedback loops into the product is incredibly important. AI products are probabilistic, unlike the more deterministic nature of traditional software development. So they require regular performance optimization that takes human feedback and refreshed data, and feeds it back into model training and optimization. AI PMs then have to figure out, this also goes back to product experience. How do we embed feedback loops into the product experience to ensure this continued performance in a way that's not intrusive and intuitive for the humans using the product? As a product leader, working with AI PMs, you have to invest quite a lot in recruiting and training AI talent. Now, we already mentioned that AI talent is scarce. So you need to devote special attention to expediting your pipeline. This means reaching out to your network and being very hands-on. It's not enough. I think this applies really in any scenario, in any environment as a leader, but especially when recruiting AI talent or product managers working in AI. Um, you need to find those people and attract them. Uh, Once you do, it's important to develop a robust training and coaching curriculum. You know, if you can't yourself, you need to find others who can teach specialized material in which you're not an expert. Which again, I mentioned, we're always learning. It's a continuous learning journey. So you need to figure out how to put this together for your PMs. You should also encourage them to network, get your team to go out into the world outside the day job and join communities, join open source projects, go to events. There's a lot of professional associations out there, online forums, many things that PMs that are interested could go out and find to learn more and to establish the network necessary for their future career growth as well. And then you should also encourage mentorship. This is why I love ADP List. It provides access to a global network of mentors, and I think you should also, as a product leader, try to provide insight to your team about communities like ADP List, other specialized networks that focus on AI talent, where they can find folks to help them grow in their career. Now, I think this boils down into two main points. You need to, as a product leader, create an ecosystem of learning opportunities and try to build an environment that attracts AI talent. And now there's so many things you could be doing on top of everything we've already mentioned, everything from online courses and boot camps to certificates. One thing I really like, doing an AI rotation for PMs, have them shadow data scientists and AI teams, encouraging your PMs to work on their own projects, or even carving out time for them at work so they can work on projects that help expand their knowledge. Again, providing training on the ethical and legal side of things and how to do responsible AI, encouraging experimentation, and teaching techniques like innovation labs, hackathons, design thinking workshops, etc. Now, there are some challenges on this journey of training AI PMs. First, you'll have to invest in in-house training programs, encourage your business to provide a learning and development budget that can cover external learning. Now, this has become par for the course for most companies, but it's not always easy everywhere. So you should devote yourself to this as a goal, in my opinion, as a product leader. And the other part is figuring out how to measure learning success. You have to kind of not only figure out how your PMs are doing, but also to prove the value of this investment in terms of learning and development budgets. You should measure success through 360-degree feedback and regular assessments, but also by looking at how well the products your AIs are building are doing. I think it's also important to note that you'll have to regularly adjust and customize your training and coaching program. The truth is, one size does not fit all. So if you're building a coaching plan for an AI PM, make sure you're customizing it to their individual needs and level of knowledge, and also their career aspirations. I think one important message about coaching and mentoring and training is um, don't train folks to succeed in the job, train them to succeed in their career, because that will trickle back into the job they're doing here too. Now, last bit that I want to talk about before we move into more of a Q&A section of this presentation is, how should product leaders work with AI research? How does AI research fit into modern product development? Now, AI modeling and how AI models are developed and software engineering have converged over time. Now you see these two loops or three loops. The first circle is really talking about how we develop an AI model. it's a very simplified version of how to develop an AI model, and the second is how we're developing software. You see, there is an evaluation step where they converge when they come together. Now, I think this is where things started. And as a product person, of course, I'm always thinking about how does product discovery fit into this? How do we, make sure that we're uh, developing prototypes, that we're assessing the needs of our users? And I think it fits really well into this paradigm, because if you compare the two, I've overlaid your classical, double diamond design approach with your problem space and solution space that I think fits very nicely on top of the engineering and AI modeling stages, because we're still talking about the same research work and discovery work, just expanded now also to include AI modeling and understanding, input data, output data, and understanding how it all fits into the overall product development cycle. The other thing that's important to note is that the relationship between AI research and product is, I think this visual also shows it, is symbiotic. On the one hand, allocating resources and folks to AI research and development is critical. Product teams have to stay at the forefront of AI capabilities that are developing and adapt to emerging technologies. This is the only way to ensure product success. So you have to make a conscious investment in R&D. And again, you've heard me say it twice or three times. I'm saying it again: feedback loops. AI research also needs feedback loops. These can be from many techniques, reinforcement learning from human feedback, a new technique which is reinforcement learning from AI feedback, training, optimization, fine tuning. There's a number of different methods and techniques to get feedback back to your AI research team so they can improve the underlying product or technology that you're using to build on top, to build your product on top of. These might need to be built into your product experience directly, like we discussed earlier. Now, how do you make sure that your AI research team, you as a product leader, and your teams work well together? Several things I would suggest. One is develop a shared product vision that includes AI. Don't think of it as a service that you are a client of. Think of it as a integrated part of your cross-functional overall experience. Make sure that you're aligning AI research with business and product strategy. I'm sure many of you have seen a lot of it's happened often. I've experienced it several times in my career. You have an AI team of incredibly brilliant people, PhDs, researchers, who are isolated from the rest of product engineering, from the rest of the business, and they're doing their own thing, and their work never gets productized and never gets built. That's why it's really important that you connect the dots, you intermingle, you plan together, and you align the research with your strategy. So AI strategy, product strategy should be one and the same, and definitely interconnected. You nonetheless should create time and space for researchers to go in depth, because AI research is effectively scientific work. And sometimes, like I said, it needs to be a bit more meandering, and you need to allow the necessary time for folks to do their work. You should also try to encourage small scale pilot projects and prototypes wherever possible. I think this is a general, modern product management principle that applies to AI products, I would say even more. You should also work on building a shared experimentation and iteration culture and mindset. Doesn't matter what you call it, whether you're talking about lowercase a agile, or you're talking about any form of experimentation. As long as you're doing it together and iterating on top of versions of prototypes, de-risking your work. This is both important in terms of saving costs and moving faster, but also producing results that are relevant in terms of data work and AI research. You should also consider staffing product teams with AI folks where that makes sense. There's a lot of models for how we can work together. Some companies prefer to have a centralized AI team that has researchers, machine learning engineers, sometimes ML ops, etc. But I've also seen very successful examples of companies that have a team, a cross-functional team that has engineers and designers and PMs, but also ML engineers, sometimes even AI researchers embedded into the team, working as a unit. Um, Again, the 2 points kind of overlap, but you can also experiment with integrating AI researchers. Now, some people separate AI research out and put ML engineering in. You can try to do both and see. Again, I think for some teams it makes sense for perhaps greenfield AI projects or products that are testing new technology or building something from scratch. This can be very useful, again, as long as you're leaving the time and space for researchers to do their research work and go in depth. And then lastly, make your AI research visible in the product roadmap. Whether that's only internal, perhaps it's not always something you want to expose to customers in an external roadmap. But if you want to talk about it, what are the outcomes that you're hoping to generate strategically through AI research? I think this is something you can capture in an internal roadmap. And that's my spiel. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. If you want to learn more, go to mirza.tech or find me on LinkedIn. I'm also happy to connect there. And of course, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, my friend. Um, okay. Thank you so much, Mirza, for this great and uh, awesome session. We have been totally involved in more and more in the leadership topic, especially as it's been something vital and essential the recent time over our field. So thank you so much for covering as much as you can over this topic, and thank you so much for your valuable information that really puts us out everyone on the right line. And I hope that everyone could start and go even beyond based on these tiny details and keys that Mirza has already shared over this great session. So right now, everybody, we are about to have your questions. Uh, so we will start the Q&A right now. So if you have any questions, you could directly put them over the chat or in the Q&A section over here. So let's start right now. If you have any questions, once again, you can drop them over here over the chat or over the Q&A section. Does anybody have any questions? Oh no, no,
Hazem, you're
do not
breaking
make us
up.
feel like we are. Do
Hazem,
not make us feel like we are professor.
Hazem, you're breaking up a little bit, but in case people didn't get it, yeah, feel free to ask any questions you have right now. I'm happy to answer anything.
Okay, what about now? Is it better?
Yes, I think it's a little better now.
Yeah, okay, my friend. So people. Okay, let's go. We have one question over here. I'm gonna share it on stage. It is from Diego. You can see it right now, Mirza.
Yeah, no worries. Maybe I'll just read it out so that it's clear. So the question is, how do you think you integrate AI into products when it makes sense and not just because of the hype? Uh, Great question. Obviously, something I think a lot about. I think it really depends on the problem you're solving. So for things that perhaps require some form of higher level reasoning ability, things that are difficult to build into a rule based system, or things that are difficult to build into some kind of static flow system where, perhaps we're talking about something that requires a vast amount of data processing. Perhaps we're talking about things you want to automate. I work in the CX and customer service space, and one of the obviously immediate and big applications of AI as a technology is to try to figure out how do you automate and answer in an automated way as many customer questions as possible that are coming in on any channel. So this is one of the big challenges. If you're a large company with a large customer base, you could be talking about thousands, if not dozens of thousands of questions a day. This creates serious burden on customer service teams, for example. So one big area then is looking at how can you use AI to automate answers, because it's one thing to build, template answers or kind of pre-scripted answers. You need AI to help you figure out how to answer a broad variety of things based on knowledge that exists already. So that's one possible application. Again, at the end of the day, I would always be asking myself, can this problem can this problem be solved, or can this user need be addressed by any other technology that quite honestly could be cheaper, might be easier to maintain, might not require such often performance optimization and regular upgrades. So again, there's a lot of room and space to use AI, no doubt, but it's not always the right answer.
Okay, let's move to the second question. It's now over the stage. What is the difference between AI and machine learning? Just a little bit confused. Which industry do you think gets to benefit most from AI development?
Yeah. Well, I think the difference is really in categories. People define it in different ways. I would say that machine learning is a subset of AI very broadly. AI encompassing everything from developing neural networks and different kinds of model, developing statistical models within machine learning, etc. So at the end of the day, today we don't really make such a clear distinction, even though there is definitely a historical difference between the two. In terms of generative AI and what benefits from generative AI, I think the first immediate application has definitely been in customer service. This obviously is the first area where well, in a way, the need is very pressing because of the transactional volumes of how many people are interacting with businesses, and it creates both immediate customer value and business value. But generative AI is today being successfully used in everything from medicine, biotechnology, gene editing, gene technology, all kinds of applications in all kinds of sciences, life sciences, and otherwise. I think one of the most recent super interesting examples was detecting cancer using generative AI to detect cancer. But look, or using different neural networks rather to detect cancer. Generative AI as such, I think, is most helpful in text-based tasks. I mentioned some of them like translation, summarization, text completion, etc., even generating and authoring articles. I'm sure you've all seen a lot of new social media posts that are, sometimes you can read and you can sense that they're written by AI. So, but I think it really helps, and also creative industries. I personally use in my day to day, in my private life, in my personal projects. I use generative AI as a sounding board. I use it for inspiration. I'll have a conversation with Chat GPT or Claude's Anthropic's Claude model to kind of get me going and figure out a direction for anything I'm working on. I'm using it to learn a language. So there's a lot of possible applications, I think, out there. You're welcome. Thank you for the question, Moon.
Oh, okay. Right now we have only two questions.
Hazem, I'm really sorry. You're breaking up very badly. At the moment I can't hear
Okay.
anything you're saying. Maybe you can write it in the chat.
Okay. What about now? Is it better? No.
I'm afraid not. I can hear you a little bit, but you're still breaking up quite a lot.
I'm really sorry for this, but I'm trying to do my best to prevent this technical issue. But unfortunately, it happens. And you know what? After finishing this session, everything becomes totally okay, as if no problem has been. Okay, let's see the QA section. We have a new question over here.
Mm.
I'm going to show it on stage. What resources would you recommend for designers who want to design for AI user experience? This question is from Shi.
That's a great question. I'd have to think about it a little bit. I think that this, what are they called? UX Collective has a good selection of resources. I think there is if I remember right, I saw a list of resources on Product Board's website. I can try to find this and maybe share it around. Uh, I'd have to follow up on this one. I'm sorry, things aren't coming immediately to mind. But UX Collective definitely had some good stuff in terms of how to get started. I think the other thing that is really useful for anyone would be introductory courses into AI. And understanding, first understanding how the underlying technology works. I think she's targeting more product managers, but I'm sure I know a lot of it applies to product design as well. Merrily Nika, here I'll write the name in the chat. So you have she has one of the most successful courses on AI out there. I would look her up and see some of her. She also writes a Substack where she talks a lot about how to work with AI. So yeah, again, I need to think about this. Maybe we can do some kind of follow up, or find me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I'll get you a list of resources.
Okay, my friend. Let me also recommend something about this for the designers, especially the product designers. I think that product school are offering introductory micro courses you could rely on to develop your own AI skills. In addition to IBM, HP Live, those platforms are offering you a great variety of courses that could really help you understand more and more about the relationship between AI and design and how to design for the new era of AI and how to as we say the AI is a criteria and thinking process get into your own design process. I think that would be totally helpful. Product school, IBM skill build, uh, skills build, Life program. Those are totally great resources you could rely on. In addition to such same resources, you could reach them also from the same platforms. They are gonna guide you to another external resources. Okay, we have another question over here uh, from Ilham. She's asking, can you introduce a useful podcast about AI?
Let me think. Uh, well, okay. I listen to a lot of what Andrew Ang is doing. I don't know if he has an actual podcast, but I feel like I see him in podcasts all the time. Again, I'll write the name in the chat. He's one of the global leaders in the industry. He also has a lot of online courses as well. So I think his content is really, really helpful. There is, and give me 1 second. I'll have to open my podcast app to actually find her name. I think she has a YouTube channel, uh, and give me one sec, I'll remember her name as I open this. Uh, that's super practical. It has a lot of guides and notes and things on how to. Dr. Nancy Lee, this is her name. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll write it again here in the chat so you have her name. Uh, I think she has a really amazing set of introductory videos to AI, and she also has guests from a lot of different areas of working in AI. Stanford has a podcast called The Near Future of AI that's super interesting sometimes because it's also kind of looking into what's coming next in AI that I would recommend listening to. In addition to that, I think AI is such a hot topic right now that most of my favorite podcasts are talking about it pretty regularly. Lenny Rachitsky is, bringing guests talking about AI pretty regularly. Melissa Perry is doing the same. So I think if you look at some of the big product management podcasts out there, you'll definitely find information about things happening in AI. I hope that helped you.
Really, my friend, and one of also the most important resources is you yourself, Mirza. My friend, consider that Mirza is one of the most important resources that you could reach anytime and get benefited from his posts, LinkedIn posts, social media posts. He's going to be shared. He usually shares here his own experience over his social media network. So, really, you could consider Mirza himself as a resource in addition to ADP list. Welcome anytime. If you need anything, you could reach out to our platform. Choose your favorite mentor in your favorite field. It's either UI, product, UX, UI, motion, animation, programming. You could easily find your own, as we say, a passion for our own platform also with our great mentors. One of those mentors. So, uh, doing marketing for ourselves in our event? No, we are just listening to you to reach out to a mentor if you have any concerns. Because mentors could really guide you to something special uh, that might you might not easily find out, outside. So this is the main reason that we have created this great festival and had amazing guests such as Mirza. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending today and being over here. Thank you so million for you, Mirza, for your valuable information and your great answers, neat recommendations. Looking forward to the upcoming things that everyone is going to create after this session. Uh, I hope that go above and beyond after this session and start something special uh, over their own career. Right now, we are about to wrap. Do you want to add any other comments or conclusions, my friend?
Well, first of all, thank you, Hazem, for hosting today, and thank you, ADP List, for the invitation. Yeah, I mean, maybe as a final word, AI is obviously all the hype. My advice to anyone looking to break into this space and to start working with AI is, find any opportunity you can within either your current environment or any future environment to get yourself closer to AI teams and the work that they're doing. Learn as much as you can about it. Do yourself a favor and try to become as technical as you can, or at least increase the level of your understanding as much as you can. I myself am still on a learning journey and will probably forever be. But get close to the technology, get close to the people working on it, and try to pitch in, try to work on projects, try to build AI powered products in whatever capacity you can. I think that's the best way for to get into it. And nowadays there's so many boot camps and training courses out there. Use it, tap into your learning and development budget at work. Talk to your leaders, talk to your managers, and stay proactive about it. And if you ever want advice, you want to talk about it, find me online. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for your your kind conclusion, my friend, and I hope that everyone takes the recommendation and implement these recommendations for your own lives. And don't forget to share this great session with your fellow attendees and your social network to spread the word and reach more people to get benefited from our own expertise and experiences with the great people such as Mirza, my friend, and the other over our field. Thank you so much once again for attending, for your time, and for being innovative. Hope you all the best, everybody, and hope you good rest of the day. Bye bye.
Ciao.